this one for my own.
I heard you didn't tell us. Perhaps if I told it to Jacob.
Don't tell them anything. Not until he at least acknowledges where they came from.
You've persuaded me, Lottie. Now let me persuade you. Go to the ball with my sisters tonight.
I told you, I can't.
Do you need a gown? And for the
Jacob won't let me or any of us go.
He's King Jerome's personal librarian. The king will expect him at the ball.
Jacob hates the French king. He despises his army. He wants the French army out of our German lands. The place would be in ruins.
Perhaps they've learned to take care of themselves.
Maybe a sister can't take care of the grandmothers.
Providence will help you, and I will watch over you. After her mother's death, the daughter went faithfully to tend her mother's grave. Snow covered the stone like a white blanket, and when it melted, her father had married a widow with 2 daughters of her own. They had beautiful features but selfish hearts. One stepsister yelled at Cinderella, "You stupid goose, you should be taking care of us." "That wrap of yours would look better on me," said the other. They took away her beautiful clothes and made her dress in rags. "Just look at the fine princess," the elder stepsister said. "How decked out she is," said the younger. They nagged her from morning to night. "Carry water, make a fire," they hollered. "Cook our breakfast, wash our clothes," they yelled. "And pluck these peas and lentils from the ash," they shrieked. The younger, feeling sorry for her stepsister, secretly apologized to her. "I'm sorry, you shouldn't have to do everything we said." The maiden said nothing, working long into the night and falling asleep in the ashes. She was abruptly awoken the next morning. "You dirty, dusty thing! Wake up and fix our breakfast, Ashpuddle." One day, the father was going away on a journey and asked his daughters what he should bring back. "Dresses and pearls," the elder said. "Jewels and shoes," said the younger. Ashpuddle simply said, "Just bring me a branch that brushes against your carriage." When the father arrived home, he gave the stepsisters what they wanted. The stepsisters reveled in their new finery while Ashpuddle took the hazel branch, planted it on her mother's grave, and watered it through tears until it grew into a magical tree. One day, news arrived at the home. One day, a letter arrived. The king was giving a ball. Every young lady in the kingdom must come so the prince can choose his bride. Hair needed to be combed, shoes needed to be brushed, and corsets needed to be tightened. "We're going to the ball," the stepsister shouted. "May I go with you?" Ashpuddle asked. "You, Ashpuddle?" the eldest sneered. "You're dirty and dusty. You wish to go to the ball?" he demanded. "You wish to go to the ball?" The youngest explained. "The king's order says every young lady." "Does she look like a lady?" the eldest interjected. "How can she dance when she has no proper gown? How can she dance when she has no proper shoes?" The youngest tried to explain how she has extra dresses and shoes for Ashpuddle to wear, but to no avail. The young maiden pleaded, "If I take care of you and make myself presentable, may I go?" With a sly smirk, the eldest threw a bowl of lentils into the ashes, letting her know if Ashpuddle could pick up all the lentils by the time the carriage arrives, she may attend the ball with them. Little did the stepsisters know, as kind as she was to people, the young girl was also kind to the animals, earning their trust and aid. She then implored the birds to aid her in this dilemma, allowing Ashpuddle to still attend to her sisters and accomplish this feat only for their carriage arriving. "I've done all you asked," she told the sisters, "so may I go to the ball? You could lend me your meanest garments and loan your plainest shoes." "The lentils are back inside the bowl, sister, we can't refuse," the youngest stepsister pleaded. Her elder sister, with a sinister smirk, replied, "She did the task, but look at her. She disgraced us at the ball. You could have asked for jewels and shoes, but instead you asked for a branch. Your foolishness will cost you. Be content with what you wish." Ashpuddle wept bitter tears and ran to her mother's grave. There she was comforted by her fairy godmother. The old woman paid no mind to the maiden's tears and ordered Ashpuddle to pick and empty a pumpkin, which she did without complaint. And the changed it into a fine carriage. She asked Ashpuddle to catch 6 live mice, which she did with some difficulty, and the godmother turned them into fine white horses. The godmother touched Ashpuddle's worn-out dress, which the maiden had carefully mended, and all at once it was changed to gold. Ashpuddle was so dazzling that her stepsister didn't recognize her. The prince approached her and took her by the hand. "May I have this dance?" the prince asked, and they danced the night away. When anyone else asked the prince to dance, the prince answered politely, "I've already found my partner." Ashpuddle turned to the prince, noticing the time. "Your Majesty, it has been a wonderful evening, but I must be getting home." "Then let me escort you to keep you safe," said the prince. But Ashpuddle still refused. "No, Your Majesty, I can find my own way." And before he could say another word, Ashpuddle slipped away to her father's garden. The birds carried away the golden dress, and when the stepsisters came home, Ashpuddle was sitting in her dusty smock in the ashes. In her haste, Ashpuddle had left a golden shoe at the palace. The prince ordered every young lady in the kingdom to try on the tiny shoe. As she tried to squeeze her foot in the shoe, the older stepsister muttered, "I'll fit into the shoe if I have to cut off my toe." And so she did. The prince would have taken her away, but a bird from the hazel tree warned the prince. "Coo, coo, coo, there's blood in the shoe. This one is not the one for you." The prince returned the false bride, and Ashpuddle cleaned the shoe. His second stepsister tried it on her own foot, but it wouldn't fit. So her older sister tried to help. "You'll fit into the shoe if I have to cut off your heel." And so she did. The prince would have taken her away, but a bird sang to the prince, "Coo, coo, coo, there's blood in the shoe. This one is not the one for you." So the prince returned. He would have left, but he looked into Ashpuddle's eyes, behind her dusty face. "Please, my lady, try the shoe. I believe I have found my partner." She replied, "I know it will fit, for I already have it made." In the French version, Ashpuddle frankly forgave her stepsisters. She housed them in the palace where they met and married 2 great lords, and they all lived happily ever after. But in the German version, the stepsisters came to appeal to the royal family and share in Ashpuddle's good fortune. When birds flew to the church and pecked out the stepsisters' eyes, and they were punished for their misery till the end of their days. A more memorable ending, I must say.
Would go into the great dark forest, sit by a deep cool pond, and toss her golden globe in the air. She lived her there, none but a frog, he explained to the servant that he was a guest of the princess. The princess made him promises to ask her if she forgotten what she vowed. The king regarded the princess's globe, saying, "I see you kept your golden globe secure." She admonished it, replying, "I never lose it in a million years." The servant then interrupted their pursuit, informing the king of the frog's request. "Are you a frog, you say?" The king asked it equivocally. "Yes," replied the servant. "He insists on dining with the princess. He claims that she invited him." The king then turned to his daughter. "Daughter, did you invite a frog to his supper?" With tears welling in her eyes, she said, "Oh, father, I had to save my golden globe. I promised him whatever he demanded." The servant asked the king if he should turn the frog away. But the king received him in telling his daughter a promise made in a debt unpaid. Splish, splash, up the marble steps. Squish, splash, squish, splash into the king's own chair. "Help yourself, you slimy beast," the princess muttered. The frog began his first request. "My hands can't swim, but they can't hold a spoon. You have to feed me," the princess refused, but the frog responded with a threat to take her precious globe back, so she kept her promise. The frog then began his second request. "Most tasty, now give me wine to wash it down." The frog then began his third request. "Most refreshing, now let me Rest on your cushion, and with that, the princess had enough. Rest on the floor, you nasty croaker. And with that, the princess dashed the frog to the floor. When he landed on the floor, the frog's curse was broken, and he turned back into a handsome prince. For a man will always be a frog until a woman breaks him. And a man will only be a prince because a woman makes him. An odd way to end the story for sure, but then again, though she never wanted to be like the others, she was quite special that way.
Was a beautiful queen, and her baby girl was just as pretty. The time came for christening. There were 13 wise women in the kingdom, but the queen only had plates for a dozen, so one of them wasn't invited. The wise women blessed the baby with gifts. One gave her wisdom, another gave her grace. One gave her a crooked nose to keep her safe from shallow men. And so on until the 11th had bestowed her gift. When the 11th bestowed her gift, 13th wise woman appeared. On her 13th birthday, the girl will prick her finger on a spinning wheel spindle and fall, she proclaimed. The queen was devastated and held her daughter close. But the 12th wise woman had not yet given her gift. She told the ruler, the princess will not die when she falls, but will sleep until true love awakens her. They named the princess Briar Rose and destroyed all the spinning wheels in the kingdom. The wise woman's words proved true. The girl was polite, kind, and sensible. On the princess's 13th birthday, the queen rejoiced that the danger was almost past. She gave the princess a key that opened every door in the palace. The princess wandered the twisted corridors and explored every room and chamber. At the top of the watchtower, she opened the door and found the wise woman winding thread on her spindle. What are you doing? The young princess asked. I'm winding, my dear, I'm winding. She then asked, what are you holding? And the wise woman responded, a spindle, my dear. And the princess reached out to touch the spindle. She pricked her finger and fell into a deep sleep. The wise woman thought she had succeeded and escaped as a thick briar hedge covered the tower. The young maiden slept for 7 years. Any who approached her tower were bloodied by the thorns, until a worthy young prince appeared. After 7 years, a noble young prince approached the tower. He touched the thorns, and while they hurt him, they turned into buds. As the hedge retracted, the princess awakened and went to the tower window. The prince and princess gazed at each other and began to fall in love. And the princess married the prince. Whether her nose straightened out or not, the prince never noticed because he loved her completely, as all men should do. After Marie had finished telling that story, she revealed that they had changed the original folktale. A folktale can't be made up. It has to be original, the way it's been passed down, and we wouldn't be able to use it. But it was the story that her younger sister needed to hear, so I let it go. Jeanette then offered me another tale, also involving a spinning wheel. The story of the 3 spinners. There once was a maiden who did not want to spin, and no matter what her mother said, she refused. Finally, the mother hollered at her daughter, "You are the laziest girl in the kingdom." Just then, the queen strolled by the cottage. "Woman, why are you hollering at your daughter?" The mother was embarrassed to have a lazy daughter, so she told the queen, "No matter what I do, I can't get my daughter to stop spinning flax." "Well, there's nothing I love more than the sound of spinning," Her Majesty said. "Let me take your daughter with me to the castle. I've got plenty of flax, and she can spin as much as she likes." And so the daughter came with the queen to the palace, where she sat the girl on the spinning wheel. The queen told the lazy daughter, "Spin all the flax in this room by morning, and you shall marry my son. Your industry is doubting enough. But if you fail, I'll shame you before the kingdom, and none shall ever marry you." The maiden was terribly frightened, for she couldn't have spun all that flax in 100 years. In her distress, she went to the window, looking for anyone passing the castle. She saw 3 strange women passing by. The first had a huge broad foot, the second had a lip that hung over her chin, and the third had an enormous thumb. The spinners inquired of the girl, "What seems to be the matter, young lady? Can we be of any assistance? We can be extremely helpful, but, alas, no one gives us a chance." The lazy daughter pleaded with them, "My dear ladies, the queen has ordered me to spin all this flax with thread by morning. If I succeed, she'll let me marry the prince. If I fail, she'll make me a public example." The spinners then offered a deal with the girl. "Oh, we can spin your flax in no time at all, but our help will come at a price. You must invite us to your wedding and claim us as your heirs. If you do so, you shall live happily for as long as you ever do. You won't regret it, dearie. Do you accept our offer?" The young woman exclaimed, "With all my heart." And so the maiden led the 3 old spinners into her house. The first pedaled, the second clicked, and the third twisted, and never had anyone spun so quickly. By morning, the flax was all spun, and the maiden was given to the prince as his bride. However, the bride feared she'd be asked to repeat the task once she was married. On the day of the wedding feast, the bride kept her promise and invited the 3 women to join them at the head table, claiming them as her aunts. The bridegroom looked at the first woman and asked, "How did you get such a large flat foot?" "From pedaling the wheel, pedaling the wheel." And to the second he asked, "How did you get such a large lip?" "From licking the flax, from licking the flax." And to the third he asked, "How did you get such a huge thumb?" "From twisting the thread, from twisting the thread." Upon hearing this, the prince was alarmed and declared, "Never shall my beautiful wife touch a spinning wheel again." And the bride lived happily to the end of her days. Not long after we finished that story, Lottie appeared. She argued with the other sisters about sharing their stories with me. Marie defended their decision by saying that Briar Rose was the story that her younger sisters needed to hear, to know that there will someday be someone who loves them. Jeanette explained that even though the story of the 3 spinners will not keep their husbands from having them spin flax all day long, she said, "If we may spin our beauty away, but at least our husbands will know it."
The trick worked every time. Suitors came and suitors went, and the land was filled with natural princes. And every morning the princess's shoes had all been danced to pieces. Now it so happened that a poor soldier who was wounded in war and could no longer serve met an old woman on the road. She told him of the king's challenge and warned him not to drink the wine. She also gave him a cloak that made him invisible. That night, as the soldier stood guard, the princesses offered the soldier wine. The soldier pretended to drink it, but let it run down his shirt. The princesses pretended to go to bed, and the soldier pretended to fall asleep. And the youngest sister opened a secret passage. She was the smartest, and she set her sisters free. It was at this moment we were once again interrupted by the sisters fighting. Nettie, the youngest, obviously had some opinions about the intelligence and beauty of the youngest children. Jenny nearly left over it. Luckily, they agreed to just finish the story. The eldest princess led her sisters through the woods. They followed a glorious avenue of trees whose leaves were made of glittering silver. The soldier put on the cloak and followed silently behind. The eldest dancing princess said, "Sister, I have a strange feeling that something will happen tonight." The youngest replied, "You silly goose, you're always afraid. Would you rather be safe than free?" On the other side of the woods stood a golden pavilion, where drums and trumpets and violins could be heard, and the sisters danced through the night. When all their suits had been danced through, they prepared to return to the palace. The soldier broke a branch from the silver tree and it made a terrible crack. "What was that sound?" asked the eldest. "Someone's following us." The youngest reassured her, "Our secret will be safe unless one of us reveals it." The princesses snuck back through the secret passage, but the soldier had gotten back first and showed them the silver branch. The soldier told them, "If one of you would accept my hand, I'll tell your father your secret. If not, I'll go my way." Because the soldier gave happily by herself, and the others danced in the palace each night until they found husbands who loved them. Jenny was a kind, smart, and beautiful woman. She deserved a much healthier man than I did. She wasn't the type of woman who deserved to be a widow so young. Her father liked me well enough, and we were scholars, but he is a man who respects social customs. We were princes until our father died. Now we're only soldiers, and a princess cannot marry a soldier. Lottie came to me shortly after they left to tell me she had hidden a manuscript of all the stories she had collected while she was away. She refused to tell me where it was until we promised to acknowledge to tell us, her friends, the girls of the village. Sadly, in a world like ours, a collection of stories of women would never be heard by the people, let alone publishers.